Roy Bean, who called himself the only law west of the Pecos. After his death, Western films and books cast him as a hanging judge, although he is known to have sentenced only 2 men to hang, one of whom escaped. Roy Bean was born circa 1825 in Mason County, Kentucky, and was the youngest of 5 children, 4 sons and a daughter, of Fantley Roy Bean Sr. and the former Anna Henderson Gore. The family was extremely poor, and at age 16 Bean left home to ride a flatboat to New Orleans, hoping to find work. After getting into trouble in New Orleans, Bean fled to San Antonio, Texas, to join his elder brother Sam. In 1848 the 2 brothers opened a trading post in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. Soon after, Roy Bean shot and killed a Mexican desperado who had threatened to kill a gringo. To escape being charged with murder by Mexican authorities, Roy and Sam Bean fled west to Sonora, Mexico. By the spring of 1849, Roy Bean had moved to San Diego, California, to live with his elder brother Joshua Bean, who would be elected the first mayor of San Diego the following year. Considered handsome, Bean competed for the attention of various local women. A Scotsman named John Collins challenged Bean to a pistol shooting match on horseback. The duel was fought on February 24, 1852, and ended with Collins receiving a wound to his right arm. Both men were arrested and charged with assault with intent to murder. In the 2 months that he was in jail, Bean received many gifts of flowers, food, wine, and cigars from women in San Diego. Hidden in the final gifts he received while incarcerated were knives that were encased in tamales. Bean used the knives to dig through the cell wall and escaped on April 17, 1852. He then fled to San Gabriel, California, where he became a bartender in his brother Joshua's headquarters saloon. After Joshua was murdered in November 1852, Bean inherited the saloon. Bean chose to leave California and migrated to New Mexico to live with Sam, who had been elected the first sheriff of Doña Ana County. In 1861 Samuel G. and Roy Bean operated a store and saloon on Main Street in Pinos Altos in present-day Grant County, New Mexico. During the Civil War, the Confederate Army had invaded New Mexico. During the Battle of Glorieta Pass in March 1862, the Confederates lost their supply wagons and were forced to retreat to San Antonio. After taking money from his brother's safe, Bean joined the retreating army. For the next 20 years, Bean lived in San Antonio, working nominally as a teamster. During this time he attempted to run a firewood business by cutting down a neighbor's timber. He then tried to run a dairy business but was soon caught watering down the milk. Bean later worked as a butcher, rustling and branded cattle from other area ranchers for his business. On October 28, 1866, he married 18-year-old Virginia Chavez. Within a year after being married, he was arrested for aggravated assault and threatening his wife's life. Despite the tumultuous marriage, they had 4 children together: Roy Jr., Laura, Zulema, and Sam. The family lived in what was described as a poverty-stricken Mexican slum area called Beanville. By the late 1870s, Bean was operating a saloon in Beanville and had heard that many construction camps were opening as several railroad companies were working to extend the railroads west. A store owner in Beanville was so anxious to have this unscrupulous character out of the neighborhood that she bought all of Bean's possessions for $900 so that he could leave San Antonio. At the time, Bean and his wife were separated and he had left his children with friends as he prepared to go west. In 1896, Bean organized a World Championship boxing title bout between Bob Fitzsimmons and Peter Marr on an island in the Rio Grande because boxing matches were illegal in both Texas and Mexico. The fight, won by Fitzsimmons, lasted only 1 minute and 35 seconds, but the resulting sports report spread Bean's fame throughout the United States. As he aged, Bean spent much of his profits helping the poor of the area and always made sure that the local schoolhouse had free firewood in the winter. In January 1901, Bean stated that a claim for damages of $13,000 from Apache depredations of his mules would certainly be allowed. Roy Bean died peacefully in his bed on 16 March 1903 after a bout of heavy drinking in San Antonio. He is interred at the Whitehead Memorial Museum in Del Rio. In 1965, as part of the Civil War Centennial commemoration in Texas, an official Texas historical marker honoring Roy Bean was erected on the museum grounds in Del Rio, Texas. Goodbye.